This class is designed to introduce you to the systematic data collection procedures that we use in the social sciences. By systematic, I mean that we follow sets of procedures or rules that are clearly established and that we agree as a field are appropriate. Social scientists have different ways of working, and one of the ways to understand how social scientists differ is to understand the idea of worldviews. And worldviews are different claims about how the world works, and therefore different claims about how we should go out and collect data. I'm introducing you to two worldviews here. Truly, there are more, but I'm trying to keep things simple and straightforward for this class, so we're going to focus on the two most dominant worldviews in the social sciences. The first is social constructionism, and this may be a term that you've heard before. Social constructionists believe that people make sense of the world around them through the process of interaction. By contrast, positivists, or those who believe in positivism, believe the world outside us is real and that everyone can see the world in the same way and make sense of the world in the same way. And what you're going to see is that these different claims lead researchers to do research in different ways. Now, we're not going to talk about positivism now. We're going to talk about it later in the semester, but I will say positivism you're probably already familiar with the traditional scientific method. So let's talk a little bit about social constructionism. You're going to see this is different from the traditional scientific method, which you learned in your middle school and high school science classes. Social constructionists, as I mentioned, are interested in meaning, how people create meaning, the significance of things in the world, how people make sense of the world around them, things like that. In understanding how people make meaning of the world, social constructionists like to be expansive. We want to come up with as many explanations or ideas or patterns as we can. We tend to try to interview lots of different people, and we try to make sure that those people have different perspectives. So we may look for people with different races and genders and classes, other kinds of major factors like that. And our work is interpretive. And what that means is that we go through and we look for patterns, and we then have to explain why we think those patterns exist and provide evidence to support those claims. And the goal is to be able to create theories. Now, theories are just explanations or predictions about the world around us, so they don't have to necessarily be grand theories. But they can be pretty straightforward kind of breakdown of patterns and explanations. So here's the process. Qualitative research uses what's called an inductive logic, which means we start with observation. We try to throw out any preconceived notions, other theories, things like that. We just want to observe. So we collect data. In that data, we look for patterns. Once we have some patterns, we try to come up with a tentative explanation. Now, the drawing that you have here is linear, but qualitative researchers usually don't stop here. We have a tentative explanation, then we go back to our data. We might collect more observations or look at ones that we hadn't thoroughly explored. Again, we'll make adjustments in the patterns that we think we see. Again, a tentative explanation, and we may go through this cycle several times before finally coming up with our final theory or explanation of what's happening. There are three data collection methods that are common in qualitative research. These are interviews, field observations, and what's called content analysis, which is looking at like documents or videos or something and looking for patterns in those artifacts. Another thing that you will see in content analysis, in qualitative research, is triangulation. And what this means is that researchers often try to use a combination of methods to understand a phenomenon. So you'll see in a lot of the studies that you have assigned for this class that the qualitative researchers will do both interviews and field observations. And we're looking to see, like, does what people say about themselves resonate with how they actually interact in the world? Are there contradictions? Do we want to ask them about those contradictions? Those kinds of things. So triangulation is common in qualitative research. All right, that's it for now. I will talk to you again soon.